Steve Kim, UCN Live, here with trainer John David Jackson. John, let's go back a couple of weeks. July 11th in Russia, Sergey Kovalev pounds out a workmanlike 12-round decision over Isaac Chilemba. Mixed reviews on that fight from a lot of the observers. What were your thoughts on the outing?
Well, the mixed reviews were warranted because Sergey didn't take the fight as seriously as he should have. And I was telling people 50% of Kovalev would beat 100% of Chilemba. And that's pretty much what it was. He got into that pattern where he's world champion now, and he overlooked that fight, looking toward the war fight with a bigger fight. He may say he wasn't, but he didn't take this guy, Chilemba, as serious as he should have. And, it showed because he didn't knock him out. He was trying too hard to impress his fans in his homeland. And that was part of his problem. Going for the early knockout, he didn't get it. And, so he had to go and settle for a unanimous late-round decision.
John, with that said, homecoming fights, they're great because you get to see friends and family.
Yeah.
The bad part is you get to see friends and family. Did that become an issue in terms of distractions?
Very much so, because at that point he became promoter, ticket seller, give all the things. He wanted to run the camp his way. So for this particular fight, he tried to do everything himself, and he realized that he can't do that. Listen, I told him for this fight here, be one thing, be the fighter. Don't be the trainer, don't be the manager, don't be the ticket seller. Just be the fighter, because you definitely have a opponent in front of you that can beat you, even on top of your game.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I know you guys have traveled back and forth between California and Florida in terms of your training camps. How do you deal with the next, let's say, 7-8 weeks preceding into November 19th? How will you handle the training camp?
Well, camp will be pretty much like it's always been. Sergey's going to go to Big Bear for a while and get his strength and conditioning part in. And then he'll come down and we'll do the last 7 weeks in Oxnard and start the preparation for the fight plan and make sure that he's physically fit and his weight is right. And then we'll go over the fight plan, then we'll work out the strategy to be victorious come November 19th.
Going back to the Chilemba victory, I thought it was an easy victory, 9-3, 8-4, wasn't a perfect outing. Yeah. But with that said, are you happy that you now have a fighter who understands at any given day he can be vulnerable to a certain degree?
Definitely. That fight was a learning experience for Sergey in a lot of ways. Like I said, he was wearing too many hats prior to the fight, and now he realized that, listen, his job is to be fighter, first and foremost. Don't worry about anything else but what's happening inside that ring. And with the opponent that he has in front of him now, he has to be on top of his game. Mm-hmm. Because, listen, Ward, he was undefeated as an amateur, and that's hard to do, especially with the bad decisions.
Right.
And, he cleaned out the 168-pound division, and now it's time for him to move up. And Sergey is king of 175. You have Stevenson, but Sergey's king right now. And so Ward, we have to be ready for Ward at 175.
John, with that said, do you think Isaac Chilemba gave you a good look? Was it a solid approximation of Andre Ward?
Not solid, but it was somewhat, to a degree, similar, because Chilemba is a survivor, and he has those skills, and he's definitely a good fighter. Let's say it was a small mini version of Ward, to a degree. The power is about the same. Ward is a little bit more better, technically sound fighter. But it's what we need as far as to go 12 rounds and know that he can go 12 rounds and still win a fairly unanimous decision.
John David Jackson joins us right now, the trainer Sergey Kovalev, who on November 19th takes on Andre Ward from the T-Mobile in Las Vegas. John, did you watch the Alexander Brand Ward fight this past weekend?
I was going to watch it, but we had a bad thunderstorm and it kind of knocked out the cable. I'm going to watch it this week and then I'll look at it.
Okay,
I've heard reviews.
Some would say that you really lucked out. But with that being said, given the fact there's disparate styles between your guy, Alexander Brand, two different ends of the spectrum in terms of talent, style, power, does anything tell you about Andre Ward based on that fight?
Well, it tells me a lot of things. The first thing is what I've always said is true. He's not a power puncher. And most people know that. He's not a big puncher. He relies on boxing skill and his defense. Going to a fight with Sergey Kovalev, you have to have power. You have to make Sergey respect you in some way. Mm-hmm. I don't think Ward has that. Now, they may try to devise a plan with a show that has power 175, but that'll probably be his downfall if he does that. He needs to stick what he does best and just be a pure boxer and try to frustrate Sergey if he can. The Brand fight was not a good measuring stick for us, because Brand fought a totally different fight than what Sergey would fight. But it just let me know and show me things that Ward still hasn't corrected to make him a better fighter than he is today.
How close do you think Ward is in terms of the way you approach him, the strategy, the mindset, the use of the jab, let's say compared to the Bernard Hopkins fight of a couple years ago?
The way we approach is a little younger. Not really much stronger, but more he's, at this stage of his career, where Bernard once was. Bernard, by the time we fought Bernard was a shell of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you maybe can correct me if I'm wrong. Ward, then he's had like 3 fights in the last 5 years.
Right.
So his prime years are gone. He lost those prime years.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's left now was what he accept and deal with. The best part of the best fighter that was there for Ward is gone now. So we're going to deal with the one we have today, and I like that guy because he's rusty still. He hasn't fought a guy of Sergey Kovalev's on his level at this stage of his career. He fought good fighters in his time,
Mm-hmm.
but 5 years and 3 fights later, they're not the same guy and not the same fighters to prepare for Sergey Kovalev. So I like where we're at now. I just think Ward's not the guy he used to be. It's still, listen, he can beat most fighters out there today.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as comparing him to Hopkins still was better at that stage of his career than Ward is. But he's younger and he's stronger, so we have to deal with that. A younger version of Bernard Hopkins and a little bit stronger version, better legs.
John, final question. We talk about this fight in the upcoming weeks as we head into November 19th. Very simply, I don't know if you want to really give away your whole strategy, but would you say the jab is the key for Sergey Kovalev?
The jab's always been his key because it sets up everything else for him, and I've always stressed that to him from day one. So his jab will be the key, and then we'll throw a few other things in there to make it a little bit easier for him, but he has to use the jab to set the tone and set the pace of the fight.
Okay, John, we'll see you soon.
Thank you,
This
brother.
is John David Jackson, Steve Kim, UCN Live.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.